Hello, everyone. My name is Jamia Furbush. I am a program specialist with the Division of Community Assistance within the Office of Community Services. I'm excited to welcome you all to our second webinar for the federal fiscal year 2024 CSBG State Plan. Today, we will be providing an overview of sections 6 through 9, focusing on peak performance, standards, funds, assistance, and linkages. Before we get started, I would like to go over some housekeeping items. Everyone has been muted on entry. We ask that everyone remains on mute throughout the webinar. If you have questions throughout the webinar, please enter those using the Q&A function on Zoom. We will have time to address those questions at the end of the webinar. And this Q&A is what the presenters will be monitoring. The webinar is being recorded. The recording, along with a copy of the slides, will be posted to the OCS CSBG webinars page. Once again, thank you for joining and welcome. We are hopeful that you will find today's presentation informative and interactive. Please note that this webinar applies to all states, whether you have a 1-year or a 2-year plan. The information discussed today may be new to some and a refresher for many. Our agenda today will focus on the intertwining of performance, evaluation, accountability, accessibility, and knowledge, also known as PEAAK. To encourage peak performance, we will walk you through sections 6 through 9 of the fiscal year 2024 CSBG State Plan, which includes organizational standards for eligible entities, state use of funds, state training and technical assistance, and state linkages in communication. We will end by providing you with contact information, an opportunity for questions and answer, and important announcements from the federal office. So let's meet our presenters. For the program operations team, we have myself, Jamia Furbush, and my colleagues, Program Specialist Renee Brooks and Andrew Colley. For the Financial Operations and Accountability team, we have Ms. Melissa Joseph, the Financial Operations and Accountability Branch Chief. The Office of Community Assistance, Division of Community Assistance, the Office of Community Services, Division of Community Assistance, partners with states, territories, tribal members, and organizations, communities, and community action agencies to eliminate the causes of poverty. Within OCS, we continue to focus on the 4 priorities listed here: program administration, lifting up voices from the field, the implementation of impactful initiatives, and amplifying connections and administration priorities. As mentioned, we work with states, territories, and tribal organizations and communities in order to address poverty, as well as community action agencies. We also increase self-sufficiency of individuals and families and revitalize communities. Our social service and community development programs work in a variety of ways to improve the lives of many. Through the use of PEAAK, we aim to address our priorities by focusing on performance, evaluation, accountability, accessibility, and knowledge. As you will see, the 4 OCS priorities, the CSBG priorities, and the focus of PEAAK strategically align. We are consistently aiming to improve performance through the standards we hold ourselves to, assessing the needs of the communities we serve, and optimizing customer service and satisfaction. We maintain monitoring and oversight to foster accountability and improvement in CSBG State Plan implementation and annual reporting. Through gathering first accounts from grant recipients and the individuals served, we focus on accessibility and improve performance management. Ultimately, we increase the knowledge across the network and provide avenues to wholly tell the CSBG story. I will now turn it over to my colleague, Andrew Colley, who will provide an overview of Section 6. Thank you.
Thanks, Shamia. And I think we're gonna just do a quick quiz question to start off. And Renee, how do we, there we go, perfect. Which of the following information memorandums, IMs, correlates with the organizational standards? And we have kind of a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire poll the audience thing going here. Should show us real time. Looks like IM 138 is leading. All right. 87% of the people were correct. IM 138, the state establishment of organizational standards for CSBG entities, is the correct answer. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along, but we could go to the next slide. Thank you. Just a big reminder for everyone. The federal fiscal year 2024 CSBG state plans are due September 1st of 2023. And I'm sure most of you are aware, but just another reminder that that plan should cover the federal fiscal year, which is October 1st to September 30th. So whether you're doing a 1-year or a 2-year plan, it would cover those dates respectively. One more reminder, the state plan is a critical document for both the state and the federal government in regards to oversight of this block grant. And it's strongly recommended that states, territories, and tribes review their state plan annually to ensure their program is being administered in accordance with any changing times or precedents or anything else going along. And ultimately, the framework of these state plans enable the entire network, that's local, state, and federal, to continuously improve their programs and generate the breakthrough outcomes for families, individuals, and communities that we're all striving for here. So just a reminder as well, on the slide you can see what is deemed to be a complete CSBG state plan submission. And it includes everything bulleted there. All of those things make up one complete state plan. And in a minute, I'll show you on our end who we have as being responsible for submitting a plan this year, as well as submitting just at least an eligible entity list. So if we could go to the next slide. Can we go to the next? There we go. Great. So, and quick plug, IM 138 that we were just talking about. Sorry, not IM 128. It is actually the Action Transmittal 2023-05 contains a list of these states as well. But these are the states that are required to submit a full and complete CSBG state plan on September 1st, 2023. You can bounce to the next slide, but as we go through this, there is a slight change from last year. Certain states that were not required to submit a state plan were still required to submit an SF 424M. That is not true anymore. It's no longer a requirement. However, these states are required to just revise and resubmit their CSBG eligible entity list. And the due date for that was, or is July 15th. I wanted to say August, but it's July 15th, 4 days. Also, as a quick plug, the state plan is open in OLDC. We had promised by the end of June it would be open, and it is ready to roll. So I know everyone right after this webinar, they can hop onto OLDC and get busy. So again, if you didn't catch your state on either of these lists, they are attached to the action transmittal 2023-05. Next slide. All right, so I'm going to quickly go through section 6, and then Melissa and her team will discuss section 7 and how it kind of feeds into the bigger performance management framework. But section 6 is the section that discusses organizational standards for eligible entities, and the purpose of this really links back to the CSBG Act, which gives states the authority and the responsibility for effective oversight of eligible entities that receive CSBG funds. So specifically, section 678B of the CSBG Act requires state lead agencies to establish performance goals, administrative standards, financial management requirements, and then they leave it kind of vague and say other requirements. But all of these ensure that an appropriate level of accountability and quality is going from local to state to federal oversight of CSBG funds. So in order for states to meet these responsibilities, they must establish and communicate clear and comprehensive standards, and then hold eligible entities accountable to those standards. So section 6 of the state plan clarifies a really essential piece of administering the grant. And these organizational standards are a component of a larger performance management and accountability system that I know Jamia mentioned earlier as PEAAK, and Melissa will talk about it even further in just a couple minutes. But these standards ensure that CSBG eligible entities have the organizational capacity to deliver the services that all of the low-income communities and individuals that we're serving desperately need. So by filling out this section, states can communicate their choice of standards, how they're going to utilize them, and then they can determine, and it allows the federal government to determine if those requirements are met under the CSBG Act. And it helps us also identify any state grant recipients that might benefit from TA in regards to org standards, and then provide that as needed. So another plug for IM 138 is a super helpful reference when it comes to the org standards. It's kind of the guiding document for all of this. And then next slide, I'm going to go into just a couple of specifics about section 6, but that's kind of the general overview of what we're looking for in this particular section. So can we bounce to the next slide? Thanks. Couple things I wanted to highlight about section 6, and this is if you have filled out a state plan last year, there will not be any changes from last year to this year. However, if you filled out a state plan 2 years ago and did a 2-year state plan, these items would be new. I figured, you know, the vast majority do submit annual state plans, but we could all benefit from this review. So just a quick couple of changes from 2 years ago. There's a larger character limit for section 6.1C, the alternative organizational standards, and that was just to give people more room to share. There was also in section 6.4, the eligible entity exemptions. And we changed that so grant recipients will only need to respond to 6.4A if they responded yes to 6.4. We just thought that would be easier for everyone. And then there's some other minor changes that are decreased character limits for different narratives, but nothing significant to the plan. So if you filled out a plan 2 years ago, there will be minor changes. If you filled out a plan last year, there won't be any changes in this section. So just a heads up to everybody. Can we go to the next slide? Great. So I just also wanted to highlight performance targets. So item 6.5 of the state plan talks about setting performance targets. And again, item 138, again, is going to be the guiding document for this. But best practice, we ask that when setting performance targets, states check in with their eligible entities to make sure you're hearing about any potential challenges that the eligible entities might be having, and just making sure that you're considering all circumstances that go into setting these targets, because ultimately that when it's reported on in the annual report, we don't want to be setting anyone up for anything but success, I would say. So just a reminder on that. And I think now we're going to jump to another quick quiz, and then Melissa's going to take it away. So.
Thank you, Andrew. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to kick things off with an exciting quiz to get your brain gears turning. So buckle up and let's dive right into it. According to Section 675C, what percentage of the funds made available to a state must be used to make grants to eligible entities? I'll give you a few seconds to enter your answers. Great. For those of you who selected Section C, congratulations, you are absolutely correct. The correct answer is not less than 90%. Next slide. Now we delve into Section 7, focusing on state use of funds. This critical segment of the state plan aligns how funds are allocated, distributed, and managed among eligible entities while taking care of administrative expenses and utilizing any remaining discretionary funds. This ensures the federal agency gains a comprehensive understanding of the financial management and accountability principles behind these resource allocations for maximum impact and efficiency. This will not only help states align the plan with its objectives, but also identify any areas that need improvement or adjustments for better outcomes. If you submitted a state plan last year, there are no changes to the form section since last year. Next slide. Today, we will discuss the importance of Section 7.2, plan allocation, in the effective distribution of the CSBG funds. Under the CSBG Act, Section 675CA, states are required to demonstrate a plan allocation of no less than 90% of the funds to eligible entities. This ensures compliance and proper distribution of resources among those who need them the most. To help visualize this distribution, the state plan form provides a table that outlines the percentage of allocated funds to each eligible entity receiving funds during the fiscal year addressed on the plan. By doing so, recipients promote transparency and facilitate better understanding of how these funds are utilized. It's crucial to note that this data will directly impact your state's annual report, specifically in Module 1, Table E, Point 2. With regards to PEAK, Section 7.2 ensures that collective efforts are optimized for success by focusing on effective planned allocation. Recipients can enhance overall performance in terms of resource management and service delivery. This contributes to a better evaluation method and allows us to hold ourselves accountable for providing equitable support to eligible entities. Furthermore, it improves accessibility by ensuring that financial resources reach your intended recipients efficiently. And finally, it enriches our knowledge base by gathering and analyzing data that contributes to making informed decisions for future plans. Next slide. Next, we discuss Section 7.4, which concerns the distribution timeframe for allocated funds to eligible entities within 30 calendar days following the federal award by the Office of Community Services. The prompt distribution of these funds is crucial as it ensures aid reaches those who need it the most in our communities. Regarding item 7.A, should the state fail to meet this 30-day deadline, states must have proper procedures in place to guarantee funds remain available to eligible entities consistently and without interruptions. It's important to note that item 7.4 directly connects to the state accountability measure and may affect your state's annual report form. By effectively managing fund distribution, we positively impact performance, evaluation, and accountability, accessibility, and knowledge, known as PEAK, across various aspects. Efficiency and transparency in our procedures create better performance and evaluation systems while fostering a sense of accountability among all parties involved. Furthermore, prompt and consistent funding ensures the accessibility of resources for those who need it the most, and it helps us improve our knowledge of what works best for our communities. Next slide. Finally, Section 7.6 focuses on the allocation of funds for various activities. This section plays a vital role in determining the percentage of your plan allocation dedicated to these activities for the federal fiscal years covered by the state plan. Please keep in mind that this information is crucial as it pre-populates on the state annual report, specifically Module 1, Table E4. Ensuring accuracy in this section will not only streamline your reporting process, but also reflect your commitment to transparency and responsible management of the CSBG funds. By being proactive and diligent about completing Section 7.6, you will contribute to a properly managed CSBG program that fosters growth and development within your communities in need. To complete this section effectively, consider the following activities. Review your organization's budget and historical allocation percentage for administrative activity. Analyze any trends or changes in these allocations and determine if adjustments are needed for the upcoming fiscal year. Next slide. Consider the impact of any new programs or initiatives in your community that may require additional administrative support. Ensure the specific percentage is aligned with your overall strategic plan goals for your community development. and keep documentation supporting your allocation decisions readily available for reference on future audit review. Next slide. In conclusion, understanding the impact of PEAAK is crucial as it allows us to gauge your progress, maintain a high quality standard, ensure accountability at all levels, foster accessibility for all eligible entities and individuals, and promote knowledge sharing within the community. I want to thank you all for your attention and engagement during my presentation. I'm confident that the information discussed will prove valuable as we move forward. Now I have the pleasure of handing it back to Andrew.
Thanks, Melissa. We have one more quiz for this section, and that is Section 8 of the state plan should describe the following. And the choices are A through D. We'll give you just a couple of seconds. Are we receiving? We are. Ooh, and there's some discrepancies already. All right, we'll give another 10 seconds here, and it's looks like A is pulling away, but we still have a fair number of people who've selected C. Rest assured, we've taken your screen names. All right, the correct answer is A. State's plan for delivering CSBG funded training and technical assistance to the eligible entities. Looks like 68% of the people were correct. Everyone else, this is a great opportunity to learn what Section 8 is all about. The purpose of Section 8, as we just talked about, is for the state to describe their plans for delivering CSBG funded training and technical assistance to the eligible entities. This section should reflect the needs of the eligible entities to determine what it is that they need to successfully and efficiently administer the CSBG program. So it's important to use the knowledge gained when you collect data for the annual reports, direct feedback from the eligible entities, as well as the state associations, any observed challenges or opportunities you see when doing monitoring, to incorporate those into what your state T&TA schedule will look like from year to year. And then we use it on the federal side when we review the state plans to look at this section specifically to kind of get a sense of what the states are polling the eligible entities as their greatest need in terms of TA, and then how can the federal government respond in kind, and kind of gives us a pulse of the T&TA needs at a local level, funneled up to the state, and then ultimately from the federal perspective. Can we go to the next slide? So a couple items of note on Section 8, similar to Section 6. Again, there hasn't been any changes to Section 8 since last year, but if you filled out a 2-year state plan, these would be different. First of all, and this is because of feedback that we received from state lead agencies, OCS revised Section 8.1, which is the training and technical assistance plan, to include all T&TA funded either through administrative or remainder discretionary funds, as well as all T&TA administered by the state or through other partnerships. Other than that, we decided to take out the reference to QIPs or quality improvement plans from section 8.2, which is the organizational standards technical assistance. And this was done essentially from looking at the CSBG Act again. The QIPs are intended to be kind of the final step before potential de-designation. And they're not intended to be the sole reason for de-designation, but we wanted to remove the mention of QIPs from the question and focus more on technical assistance plans. We also changed the title of the section itself to organizational standards technical assistance. We also added a checkbox to section 8.3 to identify if all T&TA is conducted by the state. And then we made just a minor title change in 8.4 to clarify that it pertains to CSBG funded T&TA performance management adjustments. And that's just a slight change. So let's go to the next slide real quick. So the focus for section 8, again, is that we as the federal government believe that T&TA is essential at all levels, local, state, and federal, in ensuring successful implementation of CSBG programs. So not only is this key for the states, it's also of utmost importance for us, as we've talked about through the peak performance management framework. We're constantly refining our T&TA efforts to try and help the CSBG network as much as possible in catering to their specific needs. And section 8 is what allows us to really tap into what the network is looking for in terms of T&TA. It provides an insight that we might not get in other places, and helps us prioritize what we choose to focus our T&TA efforts on, because it shows the topics that the states are looking at within their local network, and then we can drill down from there. So I appreciate the time that it takes to fill out this section, and I appreciate your time today at attending this webinar, and I'm going to pass it over, but I thank you, and I look forward to reviewing my state's plans come September 1st.
Great, thank you, Andrew. So we'll now move into section 9. The purpose of section 9 is to address the state level linkages and coordination that the state intends to create or maintain to ensure increased access to CSBG services to low income people and communities under the CSBG State Plan. We want to know, how does the CSBG network work and partner with communities to provide the best opportunities possible? OCS is very interested in this section, as we want to see how your state office is meaningfully collaborating with your own government, your local network of CAAs, and the community to ensure high quality, innovative, and locally driven services are available to individuals and families living in poverty. These collaborations do not always need to be a contract for services and involve an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. We want to see any actively pursued linkages and collaborative efforts meant to improve services. So we will now focus on linkages and how it correlates to PEAK. So let's think about why linkages are important. Linkages allow organizations to work together in partnership for a greater purpose, helping to embrace advancements within the network and possibly increase performance, increase accessibility to services, and further tell the story of CSBG. Linkages in PEAK allow for CSBG to have a broader reach and to fill identified gaps in services. Within the state plan, states have the ability to display their linkages. Under the CSBG Act, the state is required to coordinate services at the state and local levels, known under the Act as linkages. These consist of establishing and/or maintaining linkages with other governmental organizations, social services, and anti-poverty programs to effectively coordinate and deliver CSBG-funded services to low-income individuals, families, and communities. Linkages with local workforce investment boards, homeless continuum of care coalitions, disaster recovery resource centers, social services departments, centralized service centers, community health and childcare centers, faith-based organizations, educational institutions, and other community-based organizations promote service coordination and comprehensive service delivery at the local level. In items 9.2 and 9.3 of the state plan, OCS notes that state linkages and coordination at the local level should include how the state is encouraging partnerships and collaboration with public and private sector organizations to assure effectiveness and to provide the best opportunities to the individuals, families, and communities that CSBG serves. The linkages and coordination efforts of the state and eligible entities should be intentional, based on the needs of the local community, and include the active participation of the state lead agency and/or the eligible entity in planning implementation. Some examples from how the federal government engages in linkages and coordination are things like our collaboration with the Department of Labor and WIOA, which is the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, to ensure CSBG is brought to the table. Our combined outreach and collaboration with the Office of Head Start is another avenue where we ensure high quality child development and education services and work opportunities are available to families. And working with the Office of Family Assistance to pilot new programs and initiatives that strengthen the safety net for clients served. None of these include a contract, but they make a difference in the services and opportunities available to the network. While these are across the federal network, there's the same opportunity for the states to engage in similar types of coordination at the state level. So I wanted to talk a bit more about WIOA. In Section 9.4, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, also known as WIOA, its employment and training activities. OCS has seen some states check that they are part of a combined partner plan for the WIOA state plan, when in actuality, they are not. WIOA can be a bit confusing in the language describing how CSBG is involved. So we want to take a moment to bring some clarity to that. CSBG can participate in two ways: as a required partner for the American Jobs Centers, which is the AGC, and/or as a partner program in a state's combined state plan. For this question, you should only select yes if you are partner program in the WIOA combined state plan, which means there is a separate section completed just for CSBG. We have several states that we are aware of that are participating in this. And if you are interested in it, definitely reach out to us here within the office. If you are not a partner, as I mentioned, we are definitely available, but we also want to remind you that if you are not in the combined state plan, provide workforce employment and training activities, then you would complete narrative for 9.4B. To learn more about CSBG and the Workforce Innovation and the Opportunity Act and how to partner, please visit our website to view a detailed presentation. And we also have the link here, which is in reference to that. Okay, so before ending the discussion of Section 9, we wanted to discuss Sections 9.9 and 9.10 briefly. Section 9.9 provides the opportunity for the state to determine how they will engage in clear and consistent communication with their local CSBG network regarding the main requirements and subjects for CSBG. Section 9.10 provides the opportunity for the state to lay out a clear and consistent plan for providing feedback to the state CSBG network and for obtaining information on areas for needed T&TA support. This section is associated with State Accountability Measure 55 and will pre-populate the annual report, Module 1, Item G.6. Both sections are key to providing support and guidance to your local CSBG network and to ensure there is a consistent stream of information from your office. So we're hoping that that information comes through and we're able to get it to the field and the field to your office regarding the administration of CSBG. It also assists in the federal office sharing information, as it includes how the state will share feedback and information from OCS to the local network. As such, use this opportunity to engage in an evaluation of communication plans with your network, learning from any issues confronted while trying to communicate, and receiving feedback of what does and doesn't work. Now, this section is important to how we ensure CSBG is administered efficiently and accurately, and it helps to tell the CSBG story. For more information on WIOA, you can visit the U.S. Department of Labor's website that is listed here on the slide. Right, so we moved around a little bit for you guys and put in here a quiz at the end. So our participants today have 3 choices to select from, and we will give you all some time to answer. See a few trickling in. I'll wait about 15 more seconds. Looks like many have selected B so far. And let's see. 3, 2, 1. All right, well, thank you. If you selected B, you are correct. The activities that the state may support with CSBG remain their discretionary funds described under Section 675C. That is what Section 9 should describe. So thank you all for participating in our polls today. And I will hand it over to my colleague, Renee Brooks, who will provide some additional information.
Thank you, Jamia. As you can see here on the slide, we have a full DCA leadership team to include Sharice Johnson, the DCA director, Verna Best, the program operations branch chief, Melissa Joseph, the financial operations and accountability branch chief, and Minette Galindo, the policy data and evaluations branch chief. Each individual in leadership is excited about the CSBG grant recipients' peak performance. Within the office of the division director, we have our senior advisor, Josetta Alexander, and Erica Perez, the administrative assistant. As you see on the slide, we have provided a link to the Division of Community Assistance staff contact list. Now, within the program operations branch, we have program specialist, myself, Renee Brooks, Jessica Kane, Renika Carr, Isaac Davis, and Jamia Furbush. We also have Jane Golden, Andrew Colley, Catherine Maddox, Jake Mathai, and Mitch Navetta. Please reach out to the DCA office for any program assistance and or technical OLDC assistance in the completion of your FY 2024 CSBG State Plan. We have listed contact information here, and you can also find contact information on the CSBG webpage. If emailing for assistance, please remember to always CC CSBG states at acf.hhs.gov. For fiscal matters, we have our dynamic duo, Norris Phillip and Angie Kelly, from the Financial Oversight and Accountability Branch to assist. As mentioned, if emailing for assistance, please CC the CSBG state's email address as well as CC your program specialist. Now, to join the rally in reaching peak performance, we have a developed policy data and evaluations branch, which includes Monique Alcantara, Melanie Durley, Nikki Fraser-Curry, Kayla Lennon, Lena Katachian, and Noelle Suntheimer. All contact information is listed on our website. Thank you. Now we are going to take our final poll, which I'll go ahead and launch. And this is our final poll question. When in the FY 2024 CSBG State Plan due? When is it due? And I'll give you a few seconds to answer that question. All right, and I'll allow about 10 more seconds. And the correct answer is C, September 1st, 2023. And 96% of you got that correct. And now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our DCA Director, Sharice Johnson.
Thank you, Renee. I don't get a chance often to speak on these webinars, so I really beg, can I really speak and reach out to our state CSBG administrators and tell them how excited I am about the work that we're trying to accomplish through the Community Services Block Grant, and to say hello to the CSBG state staff, as well as thank the DCA staff for this great presentation today from Jamia, Andrew, Renee, and also Melissa. It is very important that we recognize that today we have over 62 participants who actually called in to listen to the information that we have to share. I think that speaks highly of our network, the commitment from our state leaders, and the support of PEAAK as we look at quality improvement as a part of our strategy moving forward. Our aim at OCS is to provide you with information and resources to support the successful implementation of the Community Services Block Grant. Through that, then we're able to mobilize communities. If you're successful in your implementation strategies, we're able to make sure that we're impacting and reducing poverty at many levels. And then we're being responsive to the families that count on us so much to help them move beyond their conditions and the conditions of poverty. And only when we find ourselves very focused, committed to this work, writing strong state plans, using community needs assessments to help us understand what the needs are we successful, or are we paving the way for success in implementing the Community Services Block Grant? Peak performance is just another way, and I think it's important for us to mention this, to build off of all of the hard work that has happened in prior years to focus on quality improvement. In this administration, we want to be able to exceed expectations, make sure we're paying attention to the things that matter, and the state plan is one of those pieces. The state plan actually provides that roadmap that really describes what you're trying to do from state to state, from territory to territory, in order to impact the ills of poverty, and how you're providing the oversight and leadership to the eligible entities that count so much on you. And you know we have more than 1,000 eligible entities in 99% of the counties who rely on us to make sure that they get the guidance from the state office. And then I'm sure state leads and staff, you're relying on us to get information to you in a timely and concise manner in order for you to be successful in your oversight and administration responsibilities. With the state plan, because it's a tool and a roadmap, it's very important that you pay attention and use this information that you just received from the webinar to guide your completion of your state plan. Only then will you find yourself totally successful in thinking about a state plan that really reflects the needs in the state and is a compilation of all of the information that you receive from your eligible entities. We do review the plans. We know sometimes we see stuff that seems like it's cut and paste, and perhaps that's because people are just really rushing, waiting to the last minute to complete their plans. But we will review the 2024 plans. We will provide feedback, and we also will provide guidance and think about technical assistance as we read these plans. So we're paying attention. if you thought we weren't paying attention before, we are really paying attention to what's included in these state plans. We also use these state plans as our agreement with each of the states and territories in regards to what you said you're going to do. And we rely on you to put that in the plan in a concise and clear way, respond to all of the different elements of the state plan so that we can have a great understanding of what you're trying to accomplish in your state. When you don't do that, or when we don't take time to refresh, update, and make sure these plans are relevant, we miss a critical opportunity to really demonstrate the power of CSBG and the power of the CSBG network. So my ask was that you will join the Office of Community Services, Division of Community Assistance, in trying to get to that peak performance where we're really embracing the power of the state plan and using it as a roadmap and a guide to implement the CSBG block grant. I also want to just say that there are lessons learned. If you're not using the state plan as a tool, sometimes you're not able to really build and strengthen it based on lessons learned. So you look at your prior state plan, see if they were reasonable, if you were able to meet all of those objectives there, or what did you learn? Did you overstate something or understate something? But please take time to write these plans, make sure they really reflect what you want to accomplish in your state, and that you've included all of your eligible entities in those conversations, because only when we work together from the federal level to the state level to the local level are we really able to facilitate change. And I'm sure we all will agree that change really happens at the community level, but without the great support from the state lead offices, our eligible entities may not be as successful as they can be because of your leadership and guidance. So I just want to say thank you for joining. Like I said, it was approximately 60 plus people on the call today. I know you all are going to meet that September 1st date and submitting all of your plans and updating information as appropriate. But please use this information shared today to do something better than what we've ever done before. We would like to have 100% of all the plans in our box by September 1st. That ensures compliance from your perspective. It ensures that you're also taking really seriously what you're trying to accomplish in your state by using the CSBG resources. And it also speaks to your commitment to the children and families and individuals in your state who are impacted by the ills of poverty. So thank you. And I'm going to turn it over to Jamia.
Thank you, Sharice. We will now open the floor for questions. We have the Q&A chat box open during our presentation. And we will take this opportunity to answer any questions you may have. Do not see any questions at the moment. Okay, so hearing none, we understand that we did give you all a lot of information. So if you need to go and reflect on it, you can do that, and definitely reach out to your program specialist if you have any questions, and we will be there to assist you and guide you in the right direction. So I want to say thank you again to my colleagues, Renee, Andrew, and Melissa. And thank you to everyone for joining today's webinar. We look forward to seeing you on our next webinar, which is on July 18th, 2023 at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, where OCS will present FY 2024 State Plan Webinar Series, Peak Performance, Everything You Need to Know About Oversight, Administration, and Continuous Improvement. We hope everyone has a great afternoon, and we look forward to getting those state plans. Thank you again.
Jamia, there's a question in the Q&A.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and read it. For Genevieve Fields, she asks, or they ask, for section 12.1, a state office colleague stated that they were told to check 125%, but then mentioned in the narrative that it was temporarily 200%. Is that how we are supposed to do it, or should we check the second option and indicate 200%?
Oh, Melissa, sure.
I'm sorry, my hand hit something. Go ahead, Sharice.
No, I was going to answer the question because I didn't want to keep folks hanging. The answer to the question is the federal poverty level of 125% expires on 9/30/2023. And Congress would have to grant permission for us to continue at the up to 200% of poverty into FY24. And as soon as that information becomes available, we will make sure that the network is made aware.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I don't miss any other questions. Here's the we don't have
And
others.
so, Jamia, do you mind if we stop the recording and I want to talk to our state administrators before too many people drop off?
Yes.